It's so fun, right? But we always start an episode with like some good laughter, man.
Yo, we are live. Holy cow. We back in this thing.
Yeah.
And I am sitting across from the man, the myth, the legend, MC Supreme.
Eclectic Sage in the building, in the house. You already know. I love my name. I love my name so much.
Bullheim here in spirit. Lucas here in spirit.
Lucas here in spirit.
Yo, go to his website. Get yourself some
Lucas MG.
Some Lucas MG. Some pants.
Yes.
Maybe some jackets. Whatever he's selling.
Yeah.
Go buy it.
Beautiful stuff. I'm definitely going to try to see if I can get a piece for Christmas. A little self-gift.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't introduce myself. I'm so sorry, people. I'm so rude. I am the incomparable, the festering.
Ooh.
You can't get rid of me. I'm still here. Trent L. Dickson.
Even though you're not supposed to.
Oh, what's up, people?
Oh,
Welcome to another exciting episode of I'm Not Supposed to Be Here. I don't think I've listened to that song
in a while.
Yeah, since the last time we recorded.
Yeah.
But since the last time we recorded. Because we did record something before this.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, man, I love that theme song so much.
Right?
Yes.
Yo, shouts out to David Bennett who created that on his phone.
Wow.
Because he's an artist, man. Like
it sounds so good.
Yeah, he can draw. He writes poetry. He did rap for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't like to speak on that, but I have the files here. Don't make me play that shit, David. I will definitely play that shit on the podcast and it will live forever. But
we'll have a funk flex moment. Put your hands in the red. Go to the nearest bodega, your nearest corner store, and put your hand on the register. Dave Bennett Butter.
Yeah, I'm gonna play the song for like 20 minutes like they did. What was that, Otis they did?
Yeah, he was like, y'all niggas are not ready. Put your hands in the register. Cause the Kanye wasn't. Yo, I wish I was on. I wish I was like more aware because I was like what 10, 11. I was like a little kid when that happened, so I was not really cognizant of like how crazy that was. But
that shit was like the hip hop version of the War of the World production. Yeah, it's like go do that shit.
Yeah, literally. Oh my goodness.
Now, how you feeling?
Oh man, I'm feeling great. I feel happy. I feel like complete now that we're podding. I haven't podded in so long, and I forgot how much of a high, how much like it raises your spirit. Yeah, we gotta. Given life circumstances, we gotta always make time for the pod.
Absolutely.
And keep pushing and keep reinventing.
Absolutely. We made time for life. Now we gotta make time for the pod.
Yes.
Before we got on air, we were talking about the album, Phantoms, on all streaming platforms.
Yeah, coming close to the year anniversary.
Oh wow, has it been a year?
Yeah.
Damn.
A year retrospective.
Damn, it's a year old.
Yeah.
It's starting to walk. It's starting to
walk. You know, it's Frontifa coming in.
You know, it's eating solid foods now. Yeah. But no, you was
Steven, keeps on biting my finger.
you was
Charlie bit my finger.
bit my finger.
For the old heads.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's old now.
Damn, that's crazy all the time. Internet time is a little different though.
Yeah.
But whatever. No, but before we got on air, you were talking about how Phantoms is a lot of people's favorites, but that was your least favorite.
Yeah, like in retrospect, I feel like it's my least favorite on that project specifically. Like I feel like all the rest of the songs like really, really shine and have a specific. For me, I feel like the more I've written, the more I've been able to tell like a color of a song. It's not like synesthesia because I'm not that gifted. I don't have like that condition, but I have like. I feel like certain songs do emit certain colors, I guess, if you want to do like frequencies and stuff. And I feel like all the other songs like emit, like give me like a presence of a color. And I feel like that one's kind of grayed, kind of washed out, kind of muddy. And it feels like, but I feel like that's the original intention of the song too. it's just not my particular like cup of tea anymore.
Yeah.
But like as far as the song goes, I still love the song. I think it's just more so that the person and the emotions that I attach to through the song, or like I'm like familiar of, I just don't feel the same connection to that person, or like that song is just a very tragic song to me. So it's, for me, it's not something that I like to hear all the time. But I feel like it is a really beautiful song, and the way it's composed and the integration of it. I'm so happy that that's the title song of the project. Like you look up the project, and that may be your first intro to like hearing what may be in store for the rest of it. And I think like that's a great entrance. If Getting Off is not your first entrance, I think Phantoms is like a great entrance of just like that's a song that can exist on its own type of thing.
Yeah, nah, that there's definitely an energy about that song. It's funny you said that because that's exactly what I was gonna ask. Is it a lot of it's probably the energy that you put into it based off, the person.
Yeah,
it's kind of.
I think with that one, what makes it complicated is like when you look at the lyrics, it's really a dissection of that person or like of that experience, but more so of like the type of person that would ghost somebody, and it's just like trying to like look at it from a very scientific type of like perspective. It's just like, see what your last man did, be easy because you know the fault rests on him. He didn't treat you right, set the precedent for the rest of the men of your life. It's just like, ooh. it's like there's no poeticism in it, as much as like, she was out of BK, whimsy that it hit me, I ain't seen it, it was different. That has like a profundity to it, and like a type of like dissection that I think the project and me as a person and me as a songwriter, I was able to grow that skill as I wrote more songs to be more poetic. I feel like that was still more so of like my older era of like writing, where like I would approach things very scientifically, and I'll be like, all right, let me break down why, and like scientifically, empiricism, like try to find out why this happens this specific way by citing like certain events and details. And it's very analytical mindset. And I feel like as I've written more from a point of emotion. But shout out to Jules on that song particularly, because he was the emotion, and so it was cool because like I was playing narrator on my own song, and then he just emulated like all the emotions perfectly.
Yeah. Nah. It's y'all make such a great blend, and I love the drop when he comes in.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like
full transparency. I like the drop on the rough version better.
I'm crying. I know,
but I still have that in my phone, so I still get to hear it on a regular.
That's the best part about having access to like the artist. Like I know for a fact, like people be having like Kendrick has like a certain group of people that he plays his demos to. I'm pretty sure of like, do you think this is viable? And they have them drafts on his phone.
Yeah.
And they just be playing the drafts even when the song's out, because sometimes a draft is better than the song that gets released. But the song that gets released, it's kind of like, the raw ingredients of a cake are all good, but like everybody loves the cookie dough, but it's not good for you. But it's like we took the extra time to make sure that it was cooked for a nice prep cookie. I mean, even though you may love cookie dough, like it still exists there.
Yeah,
it's still there, but it's not fully fledged. It's not fully cooked.
Yeah,
so
it had some growing to do. It had to marinate a little bit and fluff up. For it to be consumable for everybody. But I don't mind the cookie dough.
Yeah, exactly. Like a cookie dough every once in a while. That's why I like keeping it. I'm probably gonna do a thing in the future where I just have all my demos like in one spot that everybody can listen to. See how because I think having the process be accessible to people helps too. I remember when I was younger, I was like, how the hell do I do this? How do I go about like writing and making music? And it was just like, I remember Steve Lacy was like, oh my gosh, he makes music from his phone. And like now I'm like, oh yeah, I make music from my phone too. And it's just like, and it's just like a lot of playing with and understanding yourself and the way that you write and the way that you do things. And it's always evolving, it's always changing.
Yeah, no, that's so dope that we have. For once, I'm praising the internet. that we have access to see how things are done, because it's very much a real thing to see other people, especially other people that look like you, people that reflect you, do something so that you know it's possible. It's not always the case, but a lot of times it is helpful, because I remember being a young artist, a young photographer, and looking at things like, oh my God, like that's it. Seeing the way people did photos seemed insurmountable.
Yeah,
certain
100%.
things. And it's like, and then when you get into it and you start to see your peers do it, and you start to have those conversations, you say, oh shit, I can do that too.
Yeah.
I have the resources, and all it's going to take is a little time.
Yeah. I think it changes the meaning of magic in the sense.
Yeah.
Like the magic comes from the piece in its end, and then that's only liking just the facade of a building.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you see the process and you see like what it took to do it, it's just like now the facade even has a greater meaning. Like that may be just the face of it, but like look at the beams, look at the blueprint. Look at how they conceptualized it. Look how they conceptualized all houses.
Mm-hmm.
But look at what the details they decided to put for this one specifically. Look how it's a byproduct of its era. That's how you have like the fullness, the liveliness that you can get, and that's like the soul of it, like that fullness, that process. And it's just like, wow, the magic is everything a part of that. It's not just what I'm hearing now. Like what I'm hearing now is only a snippet of it. Yeah. And like I could visit that snippet for as much time as possible, but just being able to acknowledge that there is more magic that I didn't even get to experience, but somebody else did, just for me to even experience this little bit. It's just like, thank you. Yeah. Like what a great service you gave me, and just everybody that has access to what you gave to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I was sitting here, and I was trying to think of like a piece of artwork that I did that I was like, I don't feel the same about it anymore.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of one. A lot of mine, like the rawness is still there with certain projects. Is there something that I feel differently about today? I know there's definitely things that I've done that hit people a certain way. That it was like I was just, I was just creating shit. I wasn't really thinking about it like that. But it was. I don't know if it's like.
I think it's also a thing of certain spaces call for certain things. So like, Phantoms may not be my favorite song today because I'm not in the same place. But
Absolutely.
like, find myself in the same place or something similar, or that emotional type of thing.
Yeah.
I play it, it connects again. And it's like, it's so crazy that, especially with music, like an art piece could not touch. It could be your favorite art piece and not touch you.
Yeah.
But like when it does touch you, it's just like, that's why you're my favorite. Yeah. Like I understand.
Is there like a piece of it that hits you and it's like, oh yeah, that's it? Is there like a lyric or like part of the beat?
A lot of it. I think all of it still translates really well. Like I'm still proud of it lyrically. It's one of my best storytelling songs. Yeah, I think it's more of an emotional detachment from it, but generally, it's just for me, it's like a big stepping stone of like, so for the songs that, for one, it was the hardest song to record because sometimes like when you're starting out, that was just like a song that I could write, but not necessarily perform. So even when you hear like myself performing it, it's not like I'm 100% in tune or whatever, but that roughness adds to the quality. But for me, I'm like, I could have done that take a little bit better. Or like, I think if I gave it more time to late, I could have maybe hit the note that I was imagining, but I feel like that song had to come out in order for me to make new stuff. So it's one of those like catch-22 situations of maybe not there skill-wise, but like they're like skill-wise in another way.
Yeah.
So sometimes like your ability to write can supersede your ability to record.
Absolutely. I definitely do that with art though, where I'm like, yo, if I went back and did that, that shit would be fire.
Yeah. So like I feel about that for a lot of songs on Phantoms. Like I feel like vocal performance wise, I think I can kill it a lot more. But that's why you come to live versions of the show.
Yeah.
That's why you come to live versions. People are like, why do the musicians sound better in person? It's because one, they're not recording is a different art in itself. And then two, like they've evolved, especially with the older songs, it's like they evolved, they've grown with it. And yeah, like I'm still growing with this project. It's really beautiful to even say that I have a project out. Like
Yeah.
it still like catches me when somebody's just like, I really love that song. And it's just like, I'm happy that I made something that connects with people.
So before we go any further, I still have some comments about this project. I'm gonna bring our special guest on.
Yeah.
We got another special guest. It's the same special guest from the last episode, but still he's special. He's my
Very
big
special.
brother, y'all. Hold on. We go get him on the phone and we gonna bring him in on this discussion.
Yeah.
We gonna bring him in. Ring, ring. Answer the phone.
Answer the phone.
What up, bro?
Yo. What's up?
What's up? Welcome to the show once again. You're a two-timer now. You become damn near
Reoccurring
regular.
guest.
Yes. So we were talking about Sage's album, and we were talking about art and the timing that it hits you in. And I remember I had a thought today. I was because I was doing a lot of running around today. I had a photo shoot earlier, and Bombs Over Baghdad came on.
I love that song so much.
Such an amazing song. And I was thinking, I was trying to remember all the places I was when I heard the song.
Yeah.
I've been on a lot of buses in Texas. I've been on a lot of trains in New York when I've heard it, but I've definitely listened to it overseas. Like, I think that's like so dope. Do you ever think about that? Like, I think I mentioned this, but like the art you create reaches so many different spaces that you may not be able to go, that you may never touch. But, even like the podcast, we have we have somebody who listens
in Australia.
Yes, we have somebody in Australia. I don't know if I'll ever go to Australia. The spiders are fucking big there.
Yeah.
And I
want to make friends with the spiders over there. They're big. They're chilling.
But no, I think that's such an amazing concept to have something that reaches people, that part of you that sort of extends beyond where you're from, and even in some instances where you'll go. You never know who'll be in the back of class listening to it in fucking Egypt.
Yeah, it's just for me, I think music is like one of those, like for me, if we were to talk about like ways to traverse dimensions, I think music would be the way to interact with the fourth dimension. I say that because like people talk about music being timeless, and it's like, what if it actually is like a timeless thing in the sense that like it's like replayable time. Like you can catch the emotions, the feelings, like even with a picture, you can't replay the picture in the same way. Like a video has like a detachment from it. Like you kind of remember the memory, or like it's an objective view. But like, so like it may be objectively recording the time, but like the emotion of like Rock With You by Michael Jackson, like you could feel that exact emotion in the feeling. And so it's like transferring through time, through place, through space, and just playing with that. So that's something that I think about is in relation to that. But I think, like one of the main reasons why I wanted to do music, or one of the things like I concluded, it was just like, because I listened to so much music before, and it was something of like I've listened and taken up so much of this like energy from music, and it's just like it's only right for me to repay it back in this way. And it was just like, I have the ability to do it. Let me do it to the best of my ability so that I can serve as this for the next person, because I already experienced like the fruits of all these other people's labors. And it was just like it's very like giving mindset. It was very very like altruistic type of thing. And it was like, I just want to make sure that the love that I felt is communicated through music. And like in terms of like just legacy, like this will forever, as long as we have recorded media, that'll be the biggest expression of me as a person. So not only would you be able to take my lessons, my things, like you'll be able to take my energy with you wherever you go. And I will, like, let's say I pass away, like my music will exist to places I've never seen. So not only am I transversing, like transmuting like space and time in the current, I'm doing it forever.
Yeah.
And it's just like that's a huge responsibility, and it's just like, let me make sure that I put lessons and love into the things that I write.
Word. I guess that's the same with the podcast too.
Yeah, same with the pod. The pod is just lessons I have to reteach myself just by listening in again.
Yeah, it's gonna be out there and it's gonna exist if I ever have kids.
Yeah.
You know, but even, you know, the family that I have now, if something happens to me, or even now, because I'm so far away from everyone, you know, if they ever wanted to feel close to me, they don't even need to call. They can just listen to this and then hear my my little crazy rantings.
Yeah, but I mean, that little crazy rantings is what makes you you in a lot of ways.
Absolutely, and then probably in a way that not a lot of people in my life have experienced me. Just a real quick, big shout out to my boy Chip, who's an avid listener, and my ex boss Abe. They've both run through all the episodes, I believe. So,
yeah,
if you're listening to this, then you already know new episodes are on the way.
Yeah, we catch it back up. Also, shout out to my brother Nicholas. I love that you listen to the episodes and you catch up on time with me. So
yeah, that's special. Shout out to my big brother. You still there, bro?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just soaking it all in, bro. That's it.
All right. Yeah, feel free to jump in. You know, I don't want to exclude you. We were kind of in the zone, you know.
Oh no, for sure. I was on now listening to y'all, man. You know, it just came to my mind. Y'all talking about music. I was like, this is like another form of expression. It's just without the beat. You know what I'm saying? Acapella.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what a podcast is at its best. I've seen some spectacle.
Some people good with the beat, some people good without the beat, but I do respect this because this is like a portal.
Mm-hmm.
This is like something that I can travel time to. Like when I listen to a few of your episodes, I had to make sure I'm by myself listening to them because it's like a man cave.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the episodes feel very meditative, and it feels very like homey, and I like creating that sense of home, because like home is where the heart is, so we try to fill it up with heart and space.
Yes.
And this is also a level of intelligence that everybody can't touch on, bro.
Yeah.
Because you can bring this to some people, they gravitate to it, and some people listen to it and be like, oh, okay. It's because it's something that they can't understand. I believe this is like a next level, because a lot of podcasts, they talk about things about other people, all up in other people's business, and you know, stuff like that. But this is more like growth, bro. This is something that the future needs. This is something that the kids need, bro. Because the tunes, the waves that they are listening to ain't the right way, bro. It's the self-destruction, bro. I was explaining to somebody the other day the times, you know, like the time that my granddom came up in. It was like a movement, you know what I'm saying? Empowerment of people, for the people, progress, pushing them forward. And then the time I came up in, it was more like a hustling time, but it was a time where people hustled to help people out, to put people on. It wasn't to, you know, be flashing, and it was like all for the betterment. You know, people buying businesses and stuff like that, putting stuff in a better position. And it's like the time now is all about self-destruct, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, the time we living in, and what the masses gravitate to is destruction. You know what I'm saying? You look at politics, all they can do is just go at each other next. Everybody's just playing. I'm not gonna say everybody, but a lot of people in this day of time is playing the spiritual war more than they ever did. Like, we've seen it, but we didn't look at it like that because, you know, like, we wasn't at each other's throats as hard as I believe we are now. The music, the black on black. Man, we just had a Juneteenth event where you had somebody kill somebody there, bro. I never heard of that, but we had a Juneteenth event and somebody got killed at a Juneteenth event, bro.
That's
the time we living in, bro. That's the time we living in, bro. So the ones like you all, me, that can bring this presence into the here and now, bro. I believe that we are the ones that reincarnated. We are the ones that are here to come out of our shell and to bring civilization. The ones that want to be civilized, the ones that want to be godly or want to be loving, bring them back to a loving sense and not focus on negativity. That's the big reason behind creativity because a lot of people get creative. People are learning creativity in all different type of ways, whether it's negativity, whatever. So I believe this creativity is a good wave, bro, and it's gonna hit a good airwave, and it's gonna surface in different areas. And it's gonna travel in places that you never thought it's gonna travel to, bro, because that's just what it does. That's the power of
Hmm.
alchemy, bro.
Absolutely. Real quick, I think I've mentioned my grandmother on here several times. And hop in when you want to, big brother. But a lot of her name was Velma Roberts, and she was a civil rights activist in Austin, Texas. And she did a lot for the black community there. And she's pretty damn famous. They have didn't they just open up a museum she was featured in? And there's a book he passed on to me last time I was in Texas. My brother, he passed it on to me that featured her in
Built
it.
the city,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So,
So that's a time that I still live in right now.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The
Yeah,
time that Granny Velma was at, she was futuristic, bro, because her name still lives on in this day. People still doing things, even for Dorothy Turner and other people, the Martin Luther Kings and whoever else did something great.
yeah,
But that's why it's imperative, bro, that I said before that you never forget where you come from, bro, because it's going to be a big part in who you are today.
mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I just wanted to throw that out there because we'll say. I would keep saying
So,
like my grandma lived in Velma, but I wanted people.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm saying that, yo, if you want to Google her, go ahead and Google it. You can learn more about her. But yo, straight up, that's where we're from. That's
And I need
the
to hear your music, bro. Y'all need to sing some of that music too, man.
Yeah, I
Something
got you. I
about that
got you. I got
creativity,
you.
man.
yeah. We go. Oh yeah, I got you, bro. Yeah,
I got you. Oh my
Yeah.
god. I've been. You mentioned Bombs Over Baghdad, and like we were talking about the song that I'm coming out with whenever it comes out, Waistline, and like that song actually, like that song inspired me to write that type
Oh
of
yeah,
song.
yeah. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, because it was just the way that it was very complicated in terms of how it was written, the techniques, the subject matter, but at the end of the day, it was still like a crazy funky banger, and it was just like I think that that ethos like lives through that song. So even if you don't even like live through that moment, your influence does when you do it right.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was, and it felt like that song felt like so different from what you had done before too. I was,
Yeah,
this shit is dope, and it sticks with you.
yeah, that's probably one of my best. That's one of my personal favorites right now. I think like every time you touch a new threshold as an artist, you're just like, wow, that's my favorite instance of self. Because it's like, it's a cool way to reinterpret yourself. And I feel like the best artists reinterpret themselves and their place and whatever that means to whatever artist. And I feel like that's the standpoint of like creativity and trying to find the most and just being very introspective and contemplative about how you move in life, your self-concept, your self-expression, and breaking yourself down to like the lowest of pieces to like build yourself back up again, to then not be afraid of like the dismantling and just like surrendering. And that was like a lot of what I've been learning for a lot.
Yeah.
For the little break that we had, a little hiatus.
Nice. Yo, that's interesting that you say surrendering. 'Cause that kind of leads into our topic for today.
Yeah.
I think what we're talking about today, folks, is being present, being in the moment. And I kind of want to go around and see what that means to everybody. I guess I'll go first because I'm always throwing it off to other people.
Yeah.
But simply what I have written down is giving yourself and your attention to the now, living in the current experience and allowing yourself to be, not thinking about the past and not caught up in the future. I think that's what it means to be present.
Yeah.
Big bro, what you got for me? What does it mean to be present? You there?
Paying attention. Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Nah, take your time. Don't let me rush you.
I know you good. You good, man. Being in the present is about it's being aware, man.
Mm-hmm.
And being aware. And when you're in the present, bro, you gravitate to your perception.
Mm.
I don't know if that makes sense, but being in the present means every bit of outside of you, bro. Everything around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not about you no more. When you're in your mind, it's about you. You're in the present. You
Like
experiencing
that.
more of life and everything around you.
I like that. Sage, what you got for the
And it's
people?
also a form of gratefulness, man.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think being present is being able to relinquish control.
Hmm.
That's is really hard. It's really hard, but I feel like that's my new kind of interpretation of being present. Because even when you're, for me, even if you're like attentive to like the moment and trying to live in the moment, it's just relinquishing control for the moment and kind of just observing and just experiencing and being instead of being like a human being, you'll be like a human bee in that sense. Like
Yeah.
you just are, and that's it. And
Yeah,
that's
you're not
that.
trying to.
You're not trying to do anything. You just are, and just experiencing life as if it's a verb.
Yeah.
Life as if it's a yeah. I think that'll be the title for this one.
Life as a verb. I fuck with that.
Life as if it's a verb.
Life as if it's a verb. I'll write that down on the
Yeah.
notes.
You just gotta be are. We are.
We are. Why do y'all think that's important to be present? What about the present, excuse me, and being present fulfills life or gives life value, do you think?
I believe living in the present is accepting a gift because a present is a gift.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So when you're in the present, you're allowing yourself to accept all gifts from God, all gifts of reality. And it's all beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is really bad.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing come from bad is experiences. So I believe the gift is the present and the presence.
Yeah, I think evil is just the expression of lack of good, right? So like I think we talked about that a lot on the good versus evil episode. So like if you're lacking in like your ability to relinquish control, you become over controlling, and that shows up in a lot of ways, especially like for me, I deal with like a lot of anxiety in a lot of ways that I didn't even realize.
Facts.
Which is like crazy. But it's something that like I didn't even realize was a feeling that I dealt with. But a lot of it comes from needing to feel like I'm in control, or at least have like a sense of agency in the face of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as you get older, you come to realize that like it kind of goes back to that existentialism of like I'm not supposed to be here, in the sense that like you look into the void, as like philosophers say, of like inherent meaninglessness that they talk about. Like they say like you look into the thing, you realize that everything is so grand, so huge, that in that environment you're a very minuscule thing. So in the face of that, being present is a very rebellious act, because it's like in the grander sense of everything happens around me, and everything is occupied with being inputs and outputs in whatever system that it's occupying at. But like the level that you are and the layer of reality that you're experiencing, you just being able to just take that all in is a big thing. I feel like it's something that's important, especially with this new kind of like newish digital age. We're starting to get more used to it and kind of understand it now, like 30-ish years in. But we're still like learning and understanding, like in the face of technology. But another thing is like we always have like ties to the past for like our origin, and it's hard to develop an identity in the present. So I
Yeah.
think that's like another thing I've been trying to think about too. Like, how do you build an identity based off of the present instead of the past?
Mm.
Because you're always ever changing.
So have you come up with any solutions to that?
Not entirely. Because the present is weird. Even it's a weird phase because even as I'm speaking now, it's not present because by the time the words are heard, it already
Yeah.
passes. So like the way that we understand the present is like that is super, super fleeting.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really hard to attach to something that's like very super fleeting. And so you go to something that's more stable of like what happened. Or like you kind of give yourself to something that's more perspective. So you give yourself to the future.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you plan for things in the future. And then you could even do it very retrospectively, like all these things are happening at the same time, and then you can assign your type of identity to there. But what does it look like when you just assign your identity to just moment to moment? And it's just like it just becomes, it goes back to the question of how do I ascribe myself to something that's ever changing? And I think the thing is like you don't. So you just embrace like just being.
Mm-hmm.
So like if something is always changing and always like amorphous, in that sense, it's like it's still perceivable and it's still like moving and coming about. So just kind of like just kind of coming about and just like looking at it and just observing and just being a part of that kind of helps.
Yeah. Yeah, that was gonna be my rebuttal. Maybe or something similar. Maybe and maybe that's part of being present, not feeling like you have to assign an identity to anything.
Yeah.
You know, because that's
I think there's a lot of power in that.
yeah, because that's sort of being caught up in the past and or future. It's like feeling like it has to be something other than what it is. You know, it's kind of how I think of happiness. It's nothing stationary. It's not gonna stay. You know, it's gonna be fleeting. So you can't really be happy. You know, you can only accept what is and be. There's a better word for it. You can't be happy, but you can be. It'll come to me later. But yeah, that was going to be my rebuttal. You know, straying away from trying to assign it. It's like trying to find, like getting caught up trying to find meaning.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like it's kind of meaningless, you know. And I think a big part of that is, you know, that talk of future and past. You know, it has to be worth something. Maybe it's just a moment, and maybe it's all worthless or it's all meaningless. But that's okay, because if you have it, I think that's the value in it. You have the now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's very hard to talk about the present because but I think just the present is a weird contradiction, and I think that's why we live in it. And that's why I think we're contradictions in ourselves, because how can you exist as a ever-changing thing but still be like solidified in a way? And I think that's like our biggest mission to find out in life, like how can we cross through time?
Yeah.
Because as far as we know, we're pretty much like the main vehicles of time.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything, if time isn't being perceived, then it's just everything happened already.
Yeah.
And so it's just like we're instruments of time, so we're just being perceiving.
I'm a philosopher.
Yeah, I love philosophy so much.
Yeah, I was just saying, a philosopher says we never step in the same river twice. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's true about people too. Since we're ever changing, we're never the same. You know. You still there, big bro?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just making sure. Just making sure. Damn. But yeah, I find that, you know, as far as a counter to being caught up in the past and the future, I think being present is important because it tends to reduce suffering. Because most of the suffering that we endure is for something that has already happened or something that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
You know, with the exception of like getting hit by a truck or something, you know, physical pain, something like that. And it also, I feel like when I'm more present, I'm more able to be, I guess the term a lot of people use is emotional intelligence, but I'm better at, when I'm being present and I'm being in the moment, I'm better at regulating my emotions. I'm better at, you know, stepping back from a situation and choosing how I respond as opposed to reacting, you know. And I think overall that's led to healthier relationships with people, and just for the most part a healthier relationship with myself. You know, I'm not 100%, you know, I'm not perfect. I'm still working on this thing called Trent, but I think that being present thing is extremely important, you know. And it also, from one, it gives you a better attention span too, and that's another thing I think that helps with your relationships with other people, when you're able to engage in conversation and really pay attention to people and not just, you know, wait for your moment to jump in, but really sort of soak in what they're saying. I think that's important to people, and that shows them their value. And it also, being present allows me to be authentic, you know. I'm not worried about who I used to be. I'm not worried about who I'm gonna be. Like you said earlier, I'm just allowing myself to be.
Yeah. And I think a thing that we're touching on is a lot of curiosity. A lot of curiosity lives in the present.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, you know what? Also, my phone. I'm sorry.
you're good. No, you're good. You're good.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, man, you know, living in the present overrides emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence is somebody who knows how to deal with their emotions, but they'll still feel them, and they just know how to combat it. But living in the presence is more of like, man, not experiencing none of that, but just the gift of now. And like you said, that's being attentive. That's being whatever it is you need to be for the world needs you to be, because you already got you. That's the reason why you're present, because you're the gift.
I'm gonna combat you on that. We're gonna get some sibling rivalry going on. Because I think I absolutely get what you're saying, but I think that's kind of when people sort of react to something emotionally, it's because of something that happened in the past. You know, like that's something that they're holding on to. Yeah, if that makes sense. But tell me if you think I'm wrong.
That makes perfect sense.
You know,
no, you make perfect sense.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that we can all reach different. I feel like just because the nature of the present is so contradictory, that both have equal weight in this type of like conversation. Like, just because like it's fluctuating a lot, I can see maybe not being equal parts being conscientious and equal parts not being conscientious. And in the sense of like being in your state of mind and you're just thinking about what's happening and observing things very cognizantly, and then you can do that by just without a thought in the world, and they're both being equally valid ways of being present and reflective. So I feel like there's different ways of being present too. Like you can be present in your mind of like, wow, look at this speaker, look at all the ways that the speaker is beautiful, and then just naturally curiously investigate something and that's a form of being present. And then another being present is just not overthinking, not thinking about the past, future, or present, or even the things around you, just experiencing.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're both equally valid ways of being present. And I feel like sometimes people talk about being present and more so lean towards the curiosity aspect as opposed to just experiencing, or vice versa. But I think embracing both sides of that helps us in terms of being able to deal with like the way that life is. And then also being present when the moment is stressful, understanding the stress, understanding that this moment, this too shall pass, is a thing that my grandma always tells me. What is in the negative, in the not even negative connotation, but what appears to be a negative connotation is that this too will pass. And it's like, part of you is just like, oh man, wasn't that a relief? But part of you is just like, I'm being called to meet the moment. And it's like, it's very beautiful that I can even be faced with a task this great or challenging that will propel me to whatever the next moment is. And it's just like, that's like a supreme type of like being present, even in a moment of stress or something like that.
Yeah. So I have a and I want to circle back to that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I have a question associated with that. But
Yeah.
my next question is kind of a two-parter to y'all. So why do you guys think that it's hard to live in the present moment? I guess it's kind of the same question. Well, no, it's not. It's actually three questions, but two are the same. And why are we find ourselves susceptible to distractions? So why is it hard to live in the present moment?
Yeah.
And then the second part of that is, what strategies, if any, do y'all have on living in the present? But we can take time with that first question and concentrate on that, and then we'll focus on the next one. But
yeah, I think the present is distracting. If you were truly, truly, truly present, like a fly flying through, and you're just like attention is going through. So like there is obviously like a filter to things, and I think some of that is trying to understand what are you filtering, and what do you want the end result to be? And so I feel like intentionality and the ways of being present kind of goes back to what I was saying before. Like there's different avenues of being present since it's a contradiction of itself. So your interpretation of it, of whether it's through curiosity, experience, just moment to moment, just alternating between the two, that's like a huge factor in that. So I think the inverse of like being distracted and stuff, some of it comes from not being able to filter. Sometimes you have emotions that from the past and from the future that are equally as valid. And I think not saying like it's more important to not neglect those feelings and like address them in the present. So the present gives you an opportunity to address the past or the future or the grander scheme of things or the microcosm, and it allows you to pivot and play with meaning in a way that your past self can never do, your future self can never do, the grand scheme of things can never do. And so like you have a lot of agency in the present. So even that is like a stressful thing to think about, because it's just like, wow, all the things I have to do are now, but it's like I can't do everything now. And so like that little discrepancy of your ability to do everything and your inability to do everything is like another play on. But that's also why the present is very contradicting.
What about you, big bro? Why is it hard for people to live in the present?
Distractions, man. Distractions. I believe he put it good, and through my experience, of trying to live in the present, sometimes being able to, is distractions. And I felt that living in the present is less is better. The less you have on your plate is better than living in the present. It's more easy.
Yeah, and it's hard to dictate how much you have on your plate at a given time. Sometimes you're served like a fresh course of problems that you have to like come to solve because you're at a different stage of being present, and you just completed a meal, but you're hungry, and so or your soul is hungry, so you have to grow more.
You ain't lying, because in August I felt like I got thrown into a buffet.
Yeah, so
Like,
so sometimes you have a buffet of problems that you got to get to, and you're like, I don't even know which one to handle first. See, like it's just option paralysis. So that's another thing too with dealing with that. But I think that's a part of life. Just the gift that we have is that we're able to have foresight, have ideas of the past. That's why we even became like this type of creature that can simultaneously like love to study its history but repeat certain things in its history, but then also like innovate and push past a lot of things. Like there's a lot of things and accomplishments that go unsung because it works. And we're very problem oriented because we want to make our surroundings safer. And so like when you're problem oriented, you forget that you had solved a lot of solutions in the midst of that. And taking a moment to acknowledge that is also being present. Like if you were to look at society, like we have cured diseases. There's diseases that used to affect us that will never affect anybody going forward. And like somebody in that present moment like accomplished that, and now it became a past moment. And so like we don't even acknowledge that, and we're just like, oh man, we have to focus on the ones that we didn't cure yet.
It's kind of baked in. Like we kind of, in some sense, we take it for granted. I see exactly what you're saying. No, it's funny because I was thinking about that with the podcast, and I had to apologize to a lot of people because on like a lot of those earlier episodes, I was extremely quiet. But I was running the soundboard, and I was trying to anticipate problems, and I was trying to fix things in real time. As opposed to just being a part of the conversation. I think that would have made it 10 times better. I was so worried about doing well because I respected you and Lucas's time and the people listening, that I wanted it to be great. And I didn't realize the inherent greatness, you know, of the thing that we were doing simply because we did it. You know, it isn't a collection of mistakes. It's what we were doing. You know, it was our creative minds coming together and building something, and part of that is the mistakes, and that's okay because, you know, as we were doing it, we were allowed to learn from it. But I was just like, I was and sometimes I was freaking out. I was like, oh shit, the intro didn't go off. What happened? You know, but yeah, and I wasn't present. But I think now more than ever, you know, I'm better at it. I'm not perfect. Yeah, I'm still looking at the way things like hop up and everything. But
yeah, I don't strive for perfection. I just strive for good vibes and just happy. I feel like the mistakes when they make it in. Like I had there was a person in here earlier, and I was playing them a song, and they're like, oh well, like for that song, you see how like the auto-tune went off there, and then it didn't sound like 100% perfect, and I was just like, well, for this type of song and energy, like mistakes like that are allowed to exist.
Yeah,
like let it not be perfect. Let somebody, it may not necessarily sound the greatest, but not everything sounds the greatest all the time. It can't be if you're everything everywhere at all time, you become so shapeless, so boundless that you're indescribable. And you want to give somebody something that they can feel that's describable, that they can hold on to. And it's just like that little mistake makes it so that it's more human.
Yeah. Perfection is a farce.
Yeah.
And it's a contradiction to what is human.
I feel like perfection is the biggest antagonist to being present.
Yeah. You about to say something, bro? I thought I heard a rustling.
Oh no, I was actually agreeing with y'all.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's a trap, and I often get, oh my God, I'm eating my words because I always tell I'm not a perfectionist. And here I am admitting that I am a perfectionist. But I mean, because I don't feel like anything I do is perfect. But I mean, it's contradictory to being human, like I was saying, because we can't be perfect. We can't be good at everything, you know. And what we are good at, we can't be flawless, but that's okay because, like you were saying, sometimes that makes the thing what it is. Like a lot of times we'll sit here and laugh at some shit that happened. Like when the episode where Amalia was like
Oh
hit the
my
record button,
gosh,
she was like grab it right by the pussy.
Yeah, that
Like,
was so funny, but that's what makes that intro
oh my
so
God,
funny.
that was-
And like that's like so much heart. And I play that episode and I have so much laughter. And I was just I even myself was like, oh my gosh, we can't even include that. But I was just like, no, that's actually
yeah, we took
funny.
it out and then we ended up putting it back in
because we were like it feels empty without it.
Yeah, it was
And-
such a moment and such fed into what. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead, bro.
No, you're good. Because yeah, it's like most things. Like it tastes better with the little extra like. Oh man, my hand spasmed while I was putting the salt in. And I don't know the exact measurement of that, but one hand spasm worth of salt.
Oh man. What about you, bro? Do you have any examples of like how a perfection in something enhance an experience? So I'm thinking.
Yeah, I believe that's when greatness kicks in. Being great.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe that I try not to be perfect, because a lot of times when I think I'm perfect or aim to be perfect, I feel like there's nothing else that needs to be fixed. But when you strive towards greatness, you know, it's always things that you can. That's just like when you say living in the presence.
Yeah.
You maybe wasn't living in the presence. That's because you was focusing on greatness.
Mm-hmm. But no, that's a great point. Like you can't.
And
If you
so
think
just like right now when you hear me quiet, it's because I'm more focused on the present. I'm soaking it in.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I believe that's what we have to learn how to accept in life. Like my boy said, you can't be everywhere at once. But where you are at, that's where you need to be at. So if it's greatness, be at greatness, and let everybody else be in the presence, and you focus on being great and making the presence a more better experience for everyone else. And then when it's your turn to be in the presence, you know, it'll be vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how the energy goes. You know what I'm saying? That's how the energy goes. When you're in the presence, whether you know it or not, there's going to be somebody around you perfecting greatness for you. So that your experience with presence will be good. So while you experience for the presence, you might have an officer over here fighting crime so that it don't reach you, so that you're able to keep focusing on the present.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Like, not everybody could be present at the same time, because we still live in a world. Like we still live in a world. Like you touched upon it perfectly. Like everybody can't be present at the same time, because like I said, we evolved to be past oriented and future oriented because of like threats and just the way that life is. Like life is very difficult. Like life in itself is a lot of work to do or to maintain. Like you have to always go out to eat. You have to always go out to get water. You got to always make sure that the things and the people that you have around you are safe. And so like you can be present and be acknowledging of that, but it's also like I have to dig deep in my mind from like an experience that I've been through before that will help me for this.
Yeah.
And I think that's another aspect of being present, because remember my dad, he always tells me like whatever you go through once means that you'll go through it again. And so that learning experience informs like your next present action.
Yeah. Shouts out to your pops.
It's just like when I meditate, man. When I meditate, something might distract me, and I will be mindful of that, and I'll take heed on that and reflect on that. So next time I'm meditating, that thing won't distract me no more.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a perfect segue to my next question. I want to highlight something you said though. I just want to highlight when you were talking, bro, when you talk about perfection and thinking that you're there, and it stops you from thinking about how you can be better at something, yo. That is the perfect definition of not being present. But no. But pivoting, my next question for y'all was, if any, do y'all have any strategies to remain present or pull yourself to the present, you know? To be any mindful strategies. I got a few. I remember. I got a quick story. I used to work at a country club, right? And we were dealing with food, so I would be running in and out of the kitchen. And if you've ever worked in a restaurant industry, I know you have, bro. You worked at Whataburger for like 2 weeks. That shit, yo, my brother, that was the dopest fucking 2 weeks of high school because he would bring back so much fucking chicken tenders and French fries.
I have never had Whataburger. It's one of those things I have to
trip
get.
to Texas, we taking you to Whataburger.
Please. Oh my gosh, I need it.
You know why I got that job, right?
Why is that?
So we can have something to eat.
Yo,
nah, that's an
I ate
underrated
like a king
part.
for 2 weeks. That shit was great.
Underrated part of a dang job, a food job, especially.
But no,
I lied about my age. They put me on the graveyard shift.
Damn. But yeah, we were like,
bro, I love you.
Yeah, I love you too, man. We were like 5 minutes away from that Whataburger too. Like that shit was just a hop, skip, and a trip away. But no. When I was working in the country club I was a back weight. And I guess a kind of a front weight. I forgot what they, I would bring food. I would take orders, bring food out, make sure it was prepped when it got off the line, added anything that needed to be added from my side. But if you've ever worked in a restaurant or if you've ever seen an episode of The Bear, you know how chaotic it can be.
Ridiculous.
And I was also, like I said, I was in college, so I had all these other things. And it would be frustrating too because, we were only, they were strict on, you can only have so many breaks. And then you had people who smoke cigarettes. They were allowed to just go out and take a 5-10 minute smoke break. So one of my strategies, what I would do is I would take 5, I would go to the restroom, I would sit on the toilet, and I had like this meditative ritual. I would close my eyes and I would imagine myself in an endless body of water, and it would come up to about my ankles, and if I would concentrate and I would hear the water, the waves splashing, and then I would say to myself, water, there is nothing else. Water, there is nothing else. And just that simple activity allowed me to calm myself, no matter, who was being an asshole outside, what plate got dropped, whatever happened, it would allow me to just kind of reel it all in and focus on what was important. And it allowed me to be present. It was like, okay, this is where I am. Nothing that's happened matters, and nothing that's going to happen matters either. I'm just going to do what I need to do, how it happens is out of my control. All the external factors, I know that I'm executing the way I need to execute, and that was, it calmed me down so much, and it allowed me to not, get caught up and just be frustrated and not choke somebody because, I don't know if you've ever worked around rich people.
Oh, man.
It was a lot of rich people, but regardless, they were still, they were, and it wasn't even like a top tier country club. It was like a lower, kind of a lower tier country club, but it was still, it still provided that atmosphere to make you feel like you had money and you were better than somebody, because that was kind of the purpose, to kind of provide that environment, But I mean, that kind of helped me a lot. So that's kind of one of my strategies. I don't do it so much. Right now, my strategies are a little different. When I get up in the morning, something as simple as making the bed. I think just focusing on that allows me to focus on my environment, and it kind of makes me slow down.
Yeah.
And realize where I am. Mm-hmm. And what state I'm in, because I don't know about y'all, but like the state of my room can tell me the state of my mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, so if it's messy, more than likely I'm all over the place. I also write a lot as well. I try to take, and especially since I'm in a learning stage at my job now, if I have, say, a negative reaction to something, I try to take that emotion and write it down. because I'm also on a since we last spoke, I'm on a big trying to improve myself and trying to become the healthiest version of Trent. And so I whenever I have a negative reaction to something, when I feel it coming on, I write down that experience, and then I kind of trace that back to what I feel like the the initiator of that experience is. And I think that sort of helps me regulate how I react to it the next time and regulate how I feel. And it helps me respond in a way that I want to respond and not react to it, and, you know, not just be angry at myself and not just beat myself up or try to blame it on the next person, you know. And it also allows me to accept me as a person as well. It's like I am still working on this, and it's okay to be wrong and to fall short, you know. And that's another lesson I have to keep learning. But I'm sorry, I've taken up a lot of time.
No,
How
that
do
was very
y'all
beautiful.
have
But hey, but it's crazy you say that, because when you channel like that, then you understand that everything that you feel, whatever, is all on you. Nobody
Mhm.
does nothing but you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I believe a weakness is when you allow your emotions to channel towards other people, regardless of the fact of what it is, because you control it. So when
Mhm.
you learn how to control it, then you'll realize that nobody makes you mad. Nobody, bro. And when you manage your environment, it's easier for you to live in the presence.
Mm.
Because
Mm.
those thoughts, bro, of not being able to channel those energies will not allow you to be the best you, the great you, or the present you.
Mhm. Nah, you're right. That's a those emotions are a motherfucker, and that's one thing I think that's important about being present. You have to realize that um, when you're feeling something, you're reacting to something. It's more about you than anything else.
Yeah, and it's a crazy thing. Like emotional regulation is a big skill that you have to
Because
like.
emotional, because your feelings and emotions is basically from past events.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's very
Because how
interesting.
you act, yeah, because how you act now is based on a past event. Like the emotion that you feel now from the situation is based off something from the past.
Yeah, and I think now that you guys said that, I am also very inspired by that type of sentiment because I've been pondering this question a lot, and it's like how much how much he knows I'm cooking already.
I'm ready to hear. I'm ready to hear,
How much of your internal cynicism stops you from truly being happy? And it's like,
bro.
yeah, like yeah, I've been pondering that question a
Shouts
lot
out
as
to
of
the
late.
mimic and the cynic.
Yeah, shout out to the mimic and the cynic. Yeah,
But y'all didn't hear that. That's for future.
that's for future.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been putting a lot of thought to that question. Like, how much of your emotional reactions and like the ways that you deal with stuff is like truly stopping you from being happy, and like what is happiness like aside from that, and like how do you reach that kind of like conclusion of like escaping a lot of those type of issues, or like moving in a direction where you feel comfortable. And I feel like, just trying to understand the contradictions of being and everything is just like the way to get closer to it in a lot of ways. Still
Feel
thinking about
that
the
go.
question. Yeah, so how do you feel about like about that? How do you think you're supposed to grow in the face of like your own cynicism?
Man. So, grow basically, first of all, to grow, man, you got to get those skeletons out. You got to forgive, let go. Because if you want to be great now, there's no way you can be great now living off of who you used to be, acting off of who you used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It'll never work, bro. I don't care. and it never worked, bro. And that's when we get to the contradiction
Mm-hmm.
of yeah, that's when the contradiction come in play because you want to change, you want to be you now, but you can't because you're allowing that inner those experiences that mold and shapes who you are inside to still exist now. I wouldn't say it's simple, but it really is. It's something you have to
Mm-hmm.
really work towards and just realize this is what I want. This is what I want. This is who I am now. You have to reinvent yourself, bro,
No, you
proactively.
no, you're
So
absolutely
anything
right.
that ever hinder you from being whoever you want to be now, and you realize then that's not no longer you, bro. Whatever feeling, emotion you feeling now, and that isn't what you want to feel, and you realize, bro, you still have some going to do. So that's how I deal with it. You know what I'm saying? But your environment can hinder you from that, bro. So
Yeah.
you
Mm-hmm.
change, you have to change your surroundings, bro. They'll teach you that. You'll learn that, like I learned that in counseling, bro. Like if you want to change, there's no way I can be a new me around the old surrounding
Mm-hmm. Because you know your
or old
triggers,
environment
Yeah.
and
because you know your triggers, bro.
yeah,
You know
and you
your
know your
triggers.
weaknesses.
Exactly. And those gonna always be around, bro.
Mm-hmm. And you
Especially
have
in
to
the old
be
environment.
to add on to that. You absolutely have to be careful of the stories and this ego, the stories you tell yourself about yourself. You
Yeah.
know, you can't be too rigid or think too rigidly. You know, which is living in the future of the past. You know, you got to allow yourself to be malleable.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's part of being curious. That's and I think that's something we lose as kids.
Yeah.
When we're moving from kids into adulthood. I feel like that's part of that, something we lose. Whether it be that's right. Well, whether it is through experience. We sort of learn what's acceptable and what's not by society. And sometimes we got to shake that. What were you about to say? My bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's two interesting things. Like kids themselves, like they have no past to go off of, so like they're free from the knowledge of like a lot of those triggers and a lot of those things, and they're still formulating certain experiences that will guide them as they go up. So like that's a very interesting way to kind of operate as an adult. Like you can do that. Another point that you touched on was like going to counseling, going to therapy, understanding yourself and triggers and stuff. I feel like doing that has also helped me a lot in like the way that I deal with spaces, and then it also makes you feel like you come from a privileged position because then you see people going through something similar and you're like, oh man, that's stressing them the hell out. Like let me help them out because like this is what you have to do in those situations. But
Yeah.
everybody comes to reach the conclusions whenever they're ready to do that too.
Yeah.
And I think that's another part of being present in the sense that not having to go out to fix things is another thing too. Like, being able to let things be as they are, appreciate them as they are, and then even if the idea of that thing changing or growing in a specific way may not happen, or you may not be privy to see that happen, just knowing that like at least in the current moment it's still trying, it's still attempting, it's still learning, that's like a big thing in itself too. And then another thing I was looking at, and it was like it kind of touched off like the mimic and the cynic thing that I was talking about, and I won't go into the full concept, but this is like this is like one of the notes that I wrote, and it was like the mimic and the cynic do not need to be shed. It is impossible to suppress. Other than other, my fault. The mimic and the cynic do not need to be shed. It is impossible to fully suppress one or the other without becoming an ideologically based man. But it is in the synthesis of the two that make it possible for you to be in the modern era. And the contemplative man who chronically balances the scale is blind yet just.
So what you're saying is we're all these things. We're our mistakes and our accomplishments, and I guess being present is accepting those.
Yeah, just
You
accept
know,
it.
and knowing once again that you're not perfect and you will fall short sometimes.
Yeah, but it's just the effort, just the activity. It's not a passive type of contemplation. It's like an active like type of contemplation, and it's kind of like I kind of evoke the balancing skills of like the blind woman and the blind woman and the scales, and it's like, you know, you're blind but you're just like you're just trying, you're going into a situation not knowing, and you're just trying your best to equal out the scales of events in a certain way. And it's not, and just understanding that things don't exist in a binary too is another thing that adds to like the scales. So even though the scales exist on a type of like binary type of thing, for me, I feel like balancing the fact that not everything is binary, or trying to understand everything is binary, and doing so like does a disservice to whatever you're analyzing. It's like everything has
Hey, can I,
nuance.
What's up,
hey, I
bro?
don't mean to cut you off, but so like
Yeah,
I don't know, bro. That was kind of deep what he just said, right? But what I get from that is like, so you are, so say like you are rich, you are poor, you are this, you are that, but you pick and choose which one you want to be.
yeah,
That's basically what it is. I'm positive, I'm negative. It all exists in you, but it's up to you to balance that and pick and choose. Because I believe it is a balance in it. Because I believe that's what the struggle is sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But you pick and choose what it is you want to be, because that's the greatness of you. Like that's the God-given gift of you. You can create yourself to be whoever you want to be.
yeah. And I want to add on to that, like even saying like I'm a rich man, like that comes with like, just because a rich man has a definition, and essentially when you're kind of contemplating, thinking about like what definitions and breaking the definitions of what that is, like, is a rich man to you benevolent? Is a rich man to you does this thing? How does a rich man do this? Well, the rich man has to aggregate a lot of resources and stuff. So that leads to you acting specific ways so that you try to attain the definition of what you're trying to become. And it's just like always being in a state of becoming. Like, I am becoming the rich man. I am becoming the wise man. I am becoming the lowly man. I'm becoming these type of things, and not really attaching.
Affirmations.
Yeah, affirmations. Like, I'm just affirming yourself, as opposed to, and always constantly affirming, as opposed to just assuming and being. So it's like, that's another contradiction of the present, because it's
Because
like
the
I want to
vibrations of
be.
their words
Mm-hmm.
will attract.
Yeah, it's like equal parts being and becoming. So we're always in a state of becoming, and I think that's when we operate our best, when we're in a state of becoming instead of being. So this is being present.
It's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah, like I am the journey, not the destination. Because if we were all the destination,
Exactly.
if we were all the destination, then we would be just deaf at that point.
Mm.
And that's what causes you to be stagnated.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
It's your perception.
Mm-hmm. Got to be open to change. But did you Sage? Did you mention your strategies for staying present or becoming present?
I think one of my strategies is realizing, one, like if something's bothering me in the present and it's stopping me from being present, I try to journal. I have a thing that I got from my therapist. Shout out to him. It's basically something where you write down like what's bothering you, what possibly could be the triggers, addressing the feelings right there, right then and there, and then especially like as I'm writing it, I could feel myself like detaching from a lot of those emotions. So even, or those anxieties in a lot of ways. So like it allows me to be more cognizant and not have the things like all in my face trying to like block out what I can see. And the second thing is realizing that I don't need to be in control, and relinquishing that control in that way is another thing that I like to do.
I like that. Yo, shouts out to therapy.
Yeah, shout
We
out
all-
to shout out to
we
shout
all
out to
need it.
Dwayne Brown.
I need to go back in it. No, that's dope. That reminds me of a short story I read. It was actually a story about zombies.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it's called Naming the Parts. But it was about this kid who's kind of thrust into the zombie apocalypse, and his parents taught him this strategy to give a face to all his fears. So he would list the things that scare him out, so that he could, he can make them not so distant and so unknown, But no, that's what that reminded me of. But I think it's important to be able to put that down. I think that's kind of what journaling does for me. It gives me a name or a face or something to identify and say, okay, this is the problem. Now that I know that, I can put you aside and deal with what's in front of me, or I can put this other task on hold and address the problems that are distracting me from what I want to deal with,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. I love journaling so much. I love
It's
writing
a
stuff.
beautiful skill. I wish we were handed these tools earlier on.
Yeah.
And I wish there was more things, and I wish it was more accessible as a lesson for people to know. Like, especially when you're growing up, like teaching a kid that could like be a way to counteract a lot of what negatively goes wrong. Like, I feel like had I known how to deal with these emotions in a certain way, it would have made the journey a little bit smoother.
Yeah, like something they need to teach in school. I've been saying that since I was younger. Like, they need to teach love in school, and how to actually interact socially. How to embrace not only your own vulnerabilities but other people's. But I like what you just said, and that's kind of I want to use it as like a kind of another question, like how what tools and strategies would you give your kids and just young people in general to help going forward, being more present? And I'm gonna throw this one to you, big bro, because you got kids.
I'm listening.
Yeah. That's the question. What tools do you want to, or are you giving? The babies, my nieces and nephews, and even not just them, because you also, and this is something, as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that like a lot of younger people are looking at me and learning from me.
I believe the main thing is like knowing where I came from in the time that we're living in now.
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing first is to teach them love, bro. Teach them to speak, say hi, say bye, and channel energy from outside sources.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it sounds crazy sometimes, but it's important to keep your kids in tune with the sounds, the moves.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of downloads that come from. I believe also that you got to teach them the power of self, willpower, because that's magic. We don't understand the magic sometimes. We self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So in all saying that, man, you teach your kids all that, and they understand that, and you teach them right, and how to use it proactively,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll realize that what they do now impacts the future, and what they do now would rewrite the past.
Yeah.
Because you are the past, present, and the future all in one time. Because what I just said right now was the past.
Mm-hmm.
And it also impacted our future, which is now our present. Mechanisms, you have to teach them the mechanics, the highs, the lows, and how to coexist with everybody, even yourself, because you are your own person. Does that make sense?
No, you got it. Yeah, it makes sense.
No, that was beautiful.
And that's why I believe parenting is so hard because a lot of parents don't have those tools. They only have what's been given to them instead of what they have inquired
Yeah.
themselves.
Hmm. Yeah, we've got to realize that, the people that raised us, our parents, were just doing the best with the tools they have. They didn't have it all, you know. And that's, I
Facts.
guess, that's one of the things, I guess, for me to answer the question. Uh, that's one of the things because I always tend to work with a lot of younger people, and if they ever come to me with advice or ask me my opinion on something or ask me how I dealt with the situation, I think one of the most important things to pass down on them is showing them vulnerability and saying, "Hey, I'm expressing a level of self-awareness and realizing that I don't have it all, and that's okay. And at my age, I'm still figuring it out. But to do that, you have to pay attention to yourself, You have to be mindful of that. You have to put in work, And it's not something that comes overnight. Even a small amount of success could take years. And all those years of work can be undone in a matter of seconds.
My fault. I got.
Nah, that was perfect timing. That accentuated. I like that. We're gonna keep that in. But no, that's
Beautiful ideas.
I think that's what I try to pass on, that level of vulnerability, especially to men, or people who identify as men or whatever. It's important for everybody.
Yeah.
But I think in our culture, especially when it comes to men, it's important to be vulnerable and realize you can be vulnerable. And in a lot of cases, you have to be vulnerable. You have to look inward.
Yeah.
That's something that we're not taught. That's something, well, they're not taught often. In some places and spaces it is taught, but a lot of that is going to come from you, and it's going to take work. Sage?
Yeah, I wholly agree with teaching and passing down honestness and love. Honestness, I think, is an underrated, I guess, virtue in a sense, because being honest not only to yourself but to others, I think like the more radically honest you are about the things and the way that the direction that you skirt through a lot of issues that could bubble up. And then the love is like is one of those things that even for myself, the fact that like I've experienced love at such a deep level, when it feels as if it's lacking, because it's never lacking, it's just not very apparent in the face of other things sometimes. In moments where it feels like it's lacking, I'm aware of it. And so it's just like, since I'm aware that it exists, it's like I can only reach towards it. And so it gives me the drive to be the better person. I know one of the gifts that my dad gave me was like the ability to understand my choices, like he was saying, like the ability to understand that the choices you make now will influence the story you get to tell. And I think just teaching that is another thing that's core too. And I think generally that's a part of that. And I think just a love for just a general sense of love for things, like a general love and curiosity towards things, and also balancing that curiosity with understanding that you won't necessarily need to know everything, and the need to know is not necessarily always coming from a healthy place, and it's coming from a sense that like you have to be honest with yourself. Like, is this kind of curiosity about a certain thing actually leading me to a good place, or should I just leave it where it is and let the unknown exist as the unknown? And I think just finding the poetry in that is like really nice.
Yo, that is a beautiful point to end it on. Yeah. I love that so much. Yeah, I'm going to start out the shout outs and thank yous. I want to first say thank you to my brother by choice sitting next to me. And then I want to say thank you to my brother by blood over the phone. I truly do appreciate y'all for being here and being present and just showering me with your thoughts and your wisdom. I feel so good right now just sitting back and listening to y'all and soaking it all in. I appreciate y'all.
I appreciate you too, Trent. You get a shout out because it's just like there's a lot of things that I just know, like, if I go to you for them, it's just like I just feel more at peace. So I just thank you for that. And I thank Lucas and Spirit for just introducing us because it's been mad loves ever since.
Always. Big bro, you got any shout outs, any thank yous you wanna throw out there in the universe before we hop off the episode?
Shout out to the world. Love, understanding, peace. Those three, everything the other way it needs to be.
Yeah. Also, shout out to my therapist. He's a great man. Thank you so much. And shout out to any people that decide to go into a field with the intention to change and do so, and like are very active in their activism. And I think that's being active in your activism and being an active person in your life is a very hard thing to do. And I appreciate all those people that do that presently. And shout out to them.
Yeah. All right, big bro. We're going to get off so I can close out the episode, all right? I love you. I'm going to holler at you. And I once again, I appreciate you for being on this episode, all right?
Yeah, shout out to you, man.
Call away, man. All right, y'all have a good night, bro.
All right, love you, bro. Peace.
Peace.
Have a good night. Peace.
Yo. And shout out to the audience.
Yeah.
I want y'all to know that, this is I want this to be a safe space for y'all to reach out with anything that you may have and that you're going through.
Yeah, y'all can reach out to us.
Via Instagram at I'm Not Supposed to Be Here, at Dynamic Lover on Instagram.
At Eclectic Sage.
Whatever. We here. And thank you guys. You have been a very present and mindful and visible audience.
She know I got it. All nighter, she know I'm bodies. Just something about her body got me so mesmerized. Okay, baby.